Today we're checking in on all the projects that we currently have in progress. And it's really cool to see because they're all actually at different stages along the way. Some are in the beginning stages, some of them are kind of towards the end. So it'll be really cool for you to see what actually goes behind the scenes as a real estate investor. And today's Monday, so I like to do all my check-ins on Monday just to see what's going to get done for the rest of the week. I'm kind of looking ahead, what needs to get ordered as far as material. Some things, at Home Depot or other warehouses, any material that needs to be picked up, and anything that needs to get ordered online as well. Like, for example, Amazon. A lot of our items are ordered on Amazon. More of the finishing touches. And then towards the end of the week, Friday and or Saturday, I do another round of check-ins just to see what got done for the week and what we need to look forward to the next following week as far as material, work, anything that needs to get picked up. That way we're efficient with our time and our budgets as well. That's really the most important piece. Like, for example, right now, yes, it is Monday, so a lot of the receipts that we got back from Saturday, so we still worked on Saturday, or the guys at least, need to get inputted into our tracking system, our management tracking system. That way we make sure that we're accounting for everything. We don't want to get not even a cent missing. Everything stacks up, of course, so making sure that we're efficient with that as well. This is really the piece that a lot of investors often miss. They talk about the numbers. Yes, it's really cool to see you're making big profits and you're checking in and picking up flooring and paint and all that stuff. That's the pretty stuff. That's the thing that everybody sees. But the thing that nobody sees is how much you're spending on a single receipt. For example, like $1,362 at Floor & Decor for some tile, right, for a bathroom. These are things that most people don't talk about. And then another thing too is that making sure that you're accounting for the right project. I make sure that I put it under a specific card that I have for each project, because we have multiple projects going on at once. So making sure that some of them, they're marked off as Richmond versus other ones that are marked off as Pinole. For example, right here is another project that we have in Pinole. I don't even know if you can see that, but all of them are marked off and make sure that I put the job name. Usually a lot of vendors like Home Depot, they let you put the project name. That is crucial when you're accounting for multiple projects at once, as well as categorizing, what that receipt was for. I always like to write in at the end, at the top, okay, what is this for? I put in, maybe you can't see that, but I put paint at the top because there was a lot of paint material that was, needed for that day. Other ones are, electrical. You can't see that, but there you go. That's really the real stuff that nobody likes to show and see, but that is the real side of real estate. With that said, we're gonna input these receipts into our tracking system, post a little bit of content online, and then we'll check in on our first project, which is actually right next door, Richmond, and then we'll head over to Pinole. And really, I'll just kind of be rambling along the way. I think a lot of my content that I've realized nowadays is funny enough, really me talking to myself, seeing where I'm at presence-wise, and then also just in my journey, right, where I'm at. And the reality is that, I've grown and I've come a long way from where I originally started in this business, and kind of looking forward into the future, I'm almost positive and can guarantee that I will continue to evolve. Not really change. Change is a cool word, but I think evolve really represents what is happening here, right? Yes, we change, but more so than that, we evolve the things that we currently know, right? A lot of the knowledge, they're all stacking up against each other. Meaning, like the skill sets that I'm building right now, the lessons, like all that stacks up, and we can evolve from that. And so really, these videos have now become more of me just documenting. But funny enough, a lot of people actually get a lot of value from it because they either find themselves in a similar place, and or a lot of people are just starting off and kind of can use my journey as either a starting point or kind of to guide them to their North Star. And I think it'll be really cool for me to see and look back on these videos to see where my thoughts were, my ideas were, kind of my vision for myself. I think the overall vision will always continue to be there, right? I've always had that kind of mindset that I want to be successful, but in my own standards, of course. Everybody's form of success is different. I am not after the flashy, luxurious lifestyle, I'll be honest. which is very different than most people. Like, I don't need all the fancy cars and watches and mansions. Like, that's not the life that I want to live. Rather, a life of peace, freedom. You know, I want to live, my ultimate goal is really to be on a ranch, large ranch, a lot of land, own some horses, and that's really what I'm after. Like, that's the life that I've always dreamed of. The moment I was a kid, I've always gone to Mexico. And what's funny is that you would think that the city life, the mansions and luxurious life would attract a kid's attention, but rather for me, in my case, every time I would go to Mexico and just seeing the ranch life, they actually live by the day. And there's something about that whenever I go, it's very refreshing. Hustle culture has been really ingrained now in a lot of the youth nowadays, right? At least the ones that actually want to be successful. And I think to a certain extent, it's definitely needed, right? You do have to put in the work. Nothing's just given to you. You actually have to be willing to put in the work, have the courage to go through a lot of risk and a lot of challenges, but knowing that at the end of the day, it will all be worth it. We all have this one thing called life, but it is finite and we don't know when is our last day. So might as well take advantage of it and make the most of our time. So with that said, let's get to work and I'll see you at the first property. All right, so we are at our first property location, going into the side gate right here. Let's see what we got as far as progress in this flip. Es todo, este va directamente para el Face.
No, hombre, van a decir Eric.
No, ya se vio bastante bien.
Ya. Esta banquita también le hace ver un poco más bonita.
¿La banquita da?
Sí.
Ya, quedó, está bien. Con lo dorado.
Color oro, dijo tu tía, mira.
Puro color oro. Los acentos a los lados y luego ya con su grab.
Ya, su grab.
Chulada, gordo. So right now, most of the work has been done on the inside. Some work has been on the exterior. Like, all the siding has been sanded down, patched up, you know, in some areas where it needed wood filler or bondo, as well as all the plumbing on the exterior. Leading into the garage, we'll be putting a washer and dryer out there. Sliding door, brand new sliding door, which looks looking freaking amazing from the inside. I'll show you right now. What else we got? Windows, brand new windows all throughout. Let's see what we got inside as well. New flooring, we just covered it up to make sure nothing gets on top of it, of course. Recessed lighting throughout. All the lights have been installed. Getting ready to install the kitchen cabinets. Part of them are here, but we have the rest over here. Lights. Look at that. That looks freaking amazing. We also replaced all the windows. They're just tapped right now. They're just covered up right now, which you can't really see, but brand new windows, all covered up. Brand new flooring. This flooring looks amazing. Textured walls. Bathroom getting finished up. Once again, bedroom number 1 and bedroom number 2. So a lot of progress has been made so far. I'm excited to see the grand finale. You'll be seeing it as well, so stay tuned. There's a lot of people that want to invest in real estate, but they're not willing to get their hands dirty. I often get a lot of messages from people, hey, I want something really passive. I want to make my money grow. That's cool and all those different investment strategies. The truth is that a lot of the times, all these gurus, they tell you one thing, but the reality is another. It requires work up front. There's nothing ever passive in this world, especially when it comes to the game of real estate investing. There's always some active work you need to be willing to do to make the money. And that is what we like to do and show through these videos, that it requires work. So this is the last bit of tile that we needed for the bottom and top bathrooms in the Pinot project. We also got some grout, sanded and non-sanded for the tile as well, and a lot of primer. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Material picked up. Now we gotta go drop it off. And I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. No wonder it's already almost 1 p.m. So let's get right to it. I think many times we're sold this idea very early on in our lives. I know that I was, especially growing up, that we have to find a way, the quickest way to get our passive income up, to increase that. And we're always trying to find new different ways and new trendy ways, like, investing in crypto and all this other stuff to get that passive income, right? Even with real estate, people are often sold, you gotta get those rental properties. That way you can start building that wealth, that long-term wealth, and you can get that passive income. What people don't realize, and it took me a long time to realize this, but that's what I want to share with you. You first and must get the active income up, meaning focus on activities, income producing activities, or just a career, a job, something that actually makes you money, the active stuff while you're awake. And then once you can build up that capital to a certain point, then you can focus on the things, the income producing things that will build the passive income, the money that will make you money while you sleep. So to put it simply, focus on making money while you're awake right now, especially if you're in your early 20s and 30s. I think it's the perfect time to, not the perfect time, it's the time to be building that active income, so that when the time comes, you can then pour that money into buying assets that will pay you for the long run. Because I think many times we actually have it backwards. We focus on the passive income activities, and then when we find that we no longer have money to invest, and honestly, that's a hard truth that I had to really think about and actually, analyze and see about how I was going to implement that into my own life and my own kind of career. And it was honestly a really hard thing to intake, just because I didn't know how that was going to play out in terms of how I wanted to live out my life and the career that I'm building, right? But once you start realizing and figuring things out, I quickly realized it's actually very simple, at least in my case. And a lot of people do the same thing, and you can probably take, bits and pieces of what how I approach this kind of wealth building machine, right? For me, the active side of things, the thing that actually builds my income today is fixing and flipping houses. I flip houses to make money. That is how I make money. That is how I make money today. Now, from that money, that capital, I then take and then I pour that into the long-term stuff, long-term investments. For me, it's really the rental properties. Now, here's the thing. So from one flip, I don't just take all that money and then put it all towards a rental property. Most of the money that I make from the profit of the flips, a large percentage of that goes back into more flips. But there is a small percentage, that during the year or kind of towards the end of the year, kind of based on what I've made for that year, based on flips, I take a portion of that money and I then go buy an apartment building, such as a 4-plex, an 8-plex. So as of last year, I set up this very simple and straightforward goal, which is this. I took kind of the vision that I had and the life that I want to live alongside with my life partner, and taking that into account, okay, what kind of expenses would it take to live that kind of lifestyle? What kind of things do we want to do, like as far as traveling and, the nice to haves? What kind of income would I need to have coming in on a monthly basis to make that life happen? And after doing the math, it came out to 50 doors or 50 units. And that's over the next 10 years. Now, I know 10 years, for some people might say, that's too quick. Other people might say, like the real investors might say, that is too far out. Like, you could do that in 2-3 years. And I get that. I think oftentimes, and naturally as humans, we tend to overcomplicate things a lot. And I know I did, and I continue to do so from time to time. But when it comes to building wealth and freedom, that's where we tend to overcomplicate the most, because we're unaware of what it actually takes. And sometimes it's actually so simple, but because we lack the information, the knowledge around those things, which is completely fine. But our goal now is to, in our job, is to actually acquire that information on how to actually build the wealth and the freedom that we want. I looked at my own life and I said, I don't want that luxurious life that society kind of tends to show, you know, the luxury cars and the watches and the mansions. I've never been, you know, attracted by that. Yes, it does look nice and it feels nice to drive, you know, those luxurious cars, and maybe I'll end up buying one at some point. But for me, it's really not the end goal or the goal that I have in mind as of right now, my priorities. And I think the biggest key here is for you to identify what is it that you actually want, not based on society's goals. Don't let that try to influence you as much. Actually look at what you know, actually enjoy doing and the lifestyle that you want to live. And based on that, what would it take financially to make that happen? Whether it's on an annual basis or monthly basis. I prefer, you know, looking at a monthly basis. That way I know how much I actually need to make per month to live that kind of lifestyle. And the last thing I guess I'll mention here is that money is not bad. It sounds so simple for me to even say right now, but coming from a Latino background, a lot of our culture, it's very taboo. It's a word, the money concept, we tend to avoid that as Latinos. And growing up in a Mexican household as well, it's like you gotta work to make money and then you gotta save it, you know, for an emergency. Very playing it safe. But other than that, there's really no talk about actually leveraging that money or leveraging other people's money like the bank or credit cards, and leveraging that to build real wealth, not just an income or a job. You can't hate the game. You gotta learn to play the game. And once you start playing the game, you'll realize that it's actually kind of fun. We are at our next property location. We got our guys working. We got the trucks here. That means people are working. A lot of progress being made on this amazing, incredible project. This is our biggest one this year. A complete transformation, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, converting it to a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath. We actually did a lot of the landscaping here. All of it that you see was completely covered in bushes and a bunch of other stuff, as well as in the backyard. It is hot today. A lot of progress being made though. I love seeing the guys working. One thing to remember, take care of people. Take care of your workers, your guys, your people, because they'll take care of you. That is one of the best lessons I've learned in this business. Take care of your people. So let's go take a look inside. You may not be able to hear me. I'll just give you a quick tour of the inside. Right now they're texturizing inside. We may be able to go inside, who knows, let's see. All of this was completely opened up. A long beam. The kitchen will be going right here. A nice, beautiful L-shaped kitchen with an island right in the middle. But this place is massive. They're texturizing the upstairs. So I just bought the tile the other day. We'll have that tile being placed the next day or so. The bathroom has been completely prepped up, ready for tile. We'll have the vanity right here, toilet, and a full walk-in shower with a soap box, and a nice rainfall shower, which will be pretty cool. So you'll stand here and water will come straight down. So on this master shower, we'll be going with this kind of light green color for the tile on the top, and then kind of a light gray, this one right here, for the bottom tile. So I know it's pretty loud inside, but hopefully you got to hear. I'll check the audio after this, but a lot of work, a lot of updates have been done to this place, from drywall to replacing the kitchen at a different place or a different spot. We basically had to replace the kitchen from one side to another corner, which made the biggest difference as far as just overall look, feel, layout. You'll see the design once this thing is finished, so stay tuned for the final product. But overall, a lot of progress on this project. I cannot wait to see this thing painted, which will be, actually, I have to go pick up the paint today, bring it this afternoon, and then by tomorrow they'll start painting. Flooring will also be coming in most likely by Wednesday, Thursday of this week, and then kitchen hopefully by the end of this week as well. So pretty much I give it another 2 or 3 weeks, worst case, that will end up finishing this project, which is pretty quick for this size of a project, but I'm excited to see the end result, as I'm sure you are as well. So stay tuned and definitely subscribe if you want to see the final product of these incredible projects. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.